He didn't want that record out.
No.
He wanted to fucking, of all artists, honing, refining, exploring, making it better, making it different. Not just here's some shit I thought of in the fucking car on the way over.
Now I know, like Pink Floyd used songs that were left over from some album for another album that were really good.
Yeah.
I could see that maybe you tap me. I could see a guy leaving 10 songs and one of them being spectacular.
Right. But the Stones, I think, have dozens of songs. But I think they've been, picky about which ones they put out. They don't put out, like, everything they recorded. The Beatles, I think, were down to the limit. I don't think there's any tracks kicking around that aren't just an extra track, the song we know that's been sung over again. They kind of put out everything they did. But it also speaks to what they wanted to do, right? They did put out. Maybe there's one album of oddities and rarities they never put out, that when they were a band. But, like, they put out. They worked on their shit, and they fucking put out, here's 11 songs, man.
The 70s were brutal for Beatle fans. They made you hate the fucking Beatles.
Right.
Like, I like the Beatles, but the Beatle fans were brutal in the mid-70s.
What happened in the 70s?
In the 70s, the Beatles broke up, 71 maybe?
Yeah,
like
70.
So, in 75, you were finding yourself having arguments. That's why, in a way, it was a relief when John Lennon got shot, because listen, you can't say a fucking word, guy. I'm sick and tired of you talking about this shit. They're not getting back together. It was like you always got into a fucking argument about the Beatles. I came from a heavy-duty music neighborhood where every day somebody disagreed with you on something, and like I've told a bunch of my friends, you could insult me to the end. When I get wired up when we talk about music, like if you start fucking getting me fired up about music, I get fired up. And I don't know how many Beatle arguments got in that neighborhood. Like Aerosmith's album is great.
Right.
Let's just say in 75 they released Rocks.
Okay.
And you bring your 8-track or your cassette player to the basketball court and you put in Rocks. There was always some jerk off that said, take that off and put on, Rubber Soul. And you're like, fuck it, we'll listen to Rocks. Man, Aerosmith is great, but they're not the Beatles. But wait till the Beatles get back together. All this shit's going to end. None of this shit's going to end. And they got so fucking annoying. And every year, they're like, oh, there's a rumor they're getting back together. Yeah. And no, I just talked to Yoko. Everybody just talked to fucking Yoko, and Paul and her don't still get along. It was crazy. The beating the Beatles left on this country was a phenomenal beating that people do not know today, and guys that are my age and Mr. Proops, they know. From 60-something to 70, he was dead. They were playing a trick on America that Paul was fucking dead.
Right.
Can you imagine that?
Wait, what?
They were playing a trick on America that Paul was dead.
Paul McCartney?
Yeah, during Magical Mystery Tour.
During Magical Mystery Tour, and there was one other album. He walked barefoot.
Where was he?
Abbey Road. He's barefoot walking across the road.
He was walking, and when they put you in a casket, you're barefoot. They played a fucking... Listen, there's people in therapy right now because of the Beatles.
Yeah, at the end of, what is it, Strawberry Fields?
Strawberry Fields.
Yeah, he goes,
Paul is dead.
I buried Paul.
Yeah, Paul is dead. So
at the very end, it goes, I buried Paul, like that. And you're supposed to discern that meant Paul was dead. And then there is one where they go, Paul is dead.
Paul is dead. It was crazy. If you look at Sgt.
28 If is on the license plate.
If you look at the thing, there's a thing with Paul, a flower arrangement, and it has P in it.
Sgt. Pepper, yeah.
Sgt. Pepper. These motherfuckers did a number on this country.
Jesus Christ.
Elton John came along and softened it up with fucking not Magical Mystery Tour, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road and shit. And then they broke up. So now all these morons in this country were held without that's it. They broke up. People were confused.
Yeah.
Look at the tapes when they first hit Kennedy Airport, Lee. When they got out. Kids crying. I don't fucking cry. You cry. Yeah. People were crying and shit. So they made an emotional beat. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of them getting back together, they shoot
They
John
never
Lennon.
said that. But they kept coming up every 6 months.
They weren't saying shit. They hated each other.
They weren't speaking.
They weren't even talking. They could give a Frenchman's fuck. Did you see that show that came on 2 weeks ago about how much money they had and what really went on with the...
Oh, no.
How she cut the kid out of the will and the fucking... Because she gave all the money to Sean and
really?
The son had to take her to court.
Oh, Julian, yeah.
They're worth billions.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they have to be.
Yeah.
Billions. He just did something. Oh, no. The money... You know where they made their biggest money, the Beatles? You ready? They bought Apple... They had a company called Apple Music.
Oh, when they sold it to Apple.
And when they sold it to Apple, $500 million or something like that. A fucking
Like he
thing.
stole their logo.
Yeah.
The green apple.
The green apple.
Which is a Magritte painting. And there was an art dealer in London named Groovy Bob who was a gay and had been in the army with Idi Amin when he was in a colonial troop, right? He said he claims to have had sex with Idi Amin. He's quite dead now, but he was a drugged up art dealer in London. And all the rock stars hung out with him because he was that guy. You know, you can look him up online and he's got the shades and whatnot.
What's his name?
Oh, golly. We just look up Groovy Bob and see if we can find it from there. I'm blanking on his last name. My wife's going to kill me. And anyways, he was an art dealer and he was always trying to get the Beatles and the Stones to buy paintings. And he came in with the Magritte painting and left it on Paul McCartney's kitchen table. And it's a picture, and you can look that up too if you want, Magritte, of a clerk with a bowler hat on, but a giant green apple in front of his face. And so Paul, they'd been talking about, what are we going to call the company? We need a name for the Beatles. We can't call it the Beatles. We want a name for the company because we're going to do all these movies and groups and whatnot. Oh, there he is.
There he is.
What's his name?
Groovy Bob.
I just searched Groovy Bob and
Look
looked for
at
his
him.
phone.
Yeah,
name.
he's
look
a
at him. the
peacock
real-
baby.
Yeah, he's got 3 ties on. This guy's the real fucking.
There's a picture of him and Mick Jagger in the back of a car being arrested, and they've got their hands up. And so he left that, and there it is, Fraser.
Yeah.
Robert Fraser, yeah.
And his father was a big wig with like the Bank of England. He was from a really wealthy, connected family, but he was an art dealer and a bohemian, like, you know, crazy. And so there's a book about him called Groovy Bob, if you ever want to read that. And it explains in the book how he left the painting for Paul, and Paul showed it to the boys. And they went, fucking perfect. Apple. We're going to call it Apple. Because the green apple was such a... Here, look up Magritte, Magritte, and Apple. Thank you, Lee. I didn't mean to order you to do
But
that.
it's
If you
crazy.
would please do that.
No,
and I didn't mean to, say like there's a lot of Beatle fans because I'm a
fan. There
I
it is.
became a bigger fan of them like after the '80s. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why.
They kind
I
of grow on
really
you, like
grew on
Sinatra.
me.
There can be times you're like, I don't want to hear it.
Well, I didn't like the early ones. I
Right.
like the smoke pot.
Me
the
too, me
acid,
too.
All that
I like the
acid
drug
shit
ones, yeah.
is tremendous.
Which one is the right
It
one?
should be, see the one with the apple in front of his face?
Yeah.
That's the one he left on Paul's table.
This one?
That one, the one on the left there, I believe.
Fucking tremendous.
And so they always use that green apple, and Apple uses a big green apple. He's a Belgian painter.
Where were you when John Lennon got shot?
I was doing the play. You're not going to believe this one. I was doing the play Equus at San Francisco State. I was 20, and there's a nude scene in it. Equus is the one where the kid is obsessed with horses, and he's being deprogrammed by a psychiatrist, right? The psychiatrist is having a midlife crisis at the same time he's deprogramming this kid. The kid's gone crazy and blinded a bunch of horses, and no one can figure out why he's done this. And so the play they psychoanalyze the kid, and that's the whole play, is the kid flashing back to his world. So he gets a job as a groom, and he doesn't have no friends or anything. And he takes the horses out at night, naked, and rides them until he blasts off, right? And that's a scene in the play. And he doesn't have sex with the horses. He rides on top of the horses and does like autoerotic, puts a fucking bit in his mouth, and right? So it's kinky.
Now, who played this kid?
I played the fucking
Jesus
kid.
Christ,
It was
all right.
1980, man. So I was skinny, and you had to get naked in the second act because he reenacts the being in the stable. So the actors are wearing giant fucking theatrical holding horse heads, right? Like these, so they're looming, and it's very Greek tragedy, right? So they're not realistic, and you're in this stable at the end, and the kid loses his shit. He's gonna have sex with a girl, but the horses are all there that he rides on every night. And he can't fucking deal because he has no sexual relationship with women, but he does have one with the fucking horses, right? So he freaks out and threatens her, and she splits, and then he blinds the horses, right? And then at the end, he gets cured, and the whole point of the play is because it's written by a British man, and stuffing your emotions is very important. While he's curing the kid as the play goes on, he keeps talking to the audience and to his best friend and saying, I had a dream last night. I was a doctor, and it was ancient Greece, and I was performing sacrifices, and the mask started slipping. And, he starts to have the fucking God complex freak out of, the kid is a wild thing, right? The kid's a wild thing. He committed this awful act, but he's emotional, and he feels, and he's insane. And he knows if he cures him, he's just going to become another fucking person that rides around and buys a washing machine and fucking watches TV, right? Like, he doesn't want to do it. The trick of the play is that he does it because he has to. He's a doctor. But at the same time, he's like, So at the end, he goes, "There's a bit in my mouth, a sharp bit in my mouth, and it never comes out."